Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You read it. The Knicks and Julius Randle are going to be discussing an extension this summer. And I think it's well-deserved that they look to get this guy an extension. Exactly what he needs, exactly what the Knicks need. Let's lock it down. Let's get it done so we can move forward. The only hiccup is the money. How much? How much is he worth? And how much is he willing to accept? That's the hiccup. So let's read this article. I'm going to read the article from, who am I reading it from? I'm reading it from Brian Windhorst. Okay? Where he talks about what the Knicks' plans are. And let me get that beat up out of there. What the Knicks' plans are for this summer with Julius Randle. Okay, so this is the article. Let me go ahead and get to it. Brian Windhorst, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks and All-Star forward Julius Randle reportedly intend to talk about a contract extension during the 2021 NBA offseason. ESPN's Brian Windhorst reported today. The Knicks can add 4 years to his current deal, which runs through next season. And we're going to break that down in just a second. But they can only offer a 20% increase in salary, which means the situation could come down to how much Julius Randle wants to be a Knick. Windhorst noted that the Knicks can offer Randle a 4-year extension with $106 million in guaranteed money and a maximum value of $140 million with incentives. And yes, that represents a nice raise for Julius Randle, but it's significantly less than what he can make if he becomes a free agent in 2022. So that's where we have a quagmire, right? The Knicks can give him a nice raise, but Julius Randle might feel like, hey, if I'm a free agent, 2022, I can make more money. So that's where it's, I guess they'll talk this summer, figure out what it is that they want to do. Because, of course, if Julius Randle can accept the extension, if he decides to accept the extension, the Knicks will have more money for free agents, right? More money to build the team around Julius Randle. Julius Randle says, hey, I want my money and I want it now. Like those TV commercials that you see, I want my money and I want it now. If he wants his money and he wants it now, that might be a little bit different. All right, so it's definitely something to think about. Andy, I'm going to start with you. What do you think? And we're going to get into some contract details in a little bit. But what do you think initially? Go for it, Andy.
Well, what up, Sim? What up, Josh? What up to the chat? Sim, I love these kind of topics. I'm that salary cap guy that I like the contract signings, length of the contracts and situations that we could do, should do, and whatever. Well, at this point, like you said, the negotiations are probably going to happen in just a couple of games. I think for both parties, this might be a good thing. I think Julius matured that kind of much that he wants to stabilize, right? So him taking a bigger contract and, keeping his family in the same place, which they are currently loved. Let's call it that way, loved, because we see his wife and his son on Twitter, and they probably never saw these kind of amount of likes that they're getting at this point. Until he's going to be playing this kind of basketball, it's a win situation for both parties, I believe. maybe a little bit less even for Julius, because like you said, he probably could get at least a couple of $1 million more from another team in the NBA. But then again, you don't know if you're going to be in the, a nice, let's call it a nice situation of, developing franchise in the right way and stuff like that. You can get more money for example, Orlando Magic or a Sacramento Kings team, right? And you're going to be sucking for the next, 4 or 5 years. So, I rather take these couple of $1 million less if I had the opportunity, and
Right.
and play on basically top level basketball in the current NBA and his prime of his career, right? Because this contract is going to take him to his prime. Let's be
right.
straight about that. So
right. And look, that Julius Randle, I believe that Julius Randle wants to be in New York. Right? He wants to be in New York. But just like with any with any player in the NBA, any player playing in any sport, right? At some point, your body runs out. And you're not going to be able to make as much money as you could have, as you did earlier in your career, right? So players start to think, well, I need to get as much money, not all players, but some players, I need to get as much money as I can right now because I may not be able to get that same amount of money 5 years from now. So I need to make as much money as I can now. He hasn't been a player that's been injury prone, right? He got hurt the first season of his career, but he's been pretty solid since then. So I don't think injuries are a concern for him. They may not be a concern. Like for some players, injuries are a concern. He might be looking to say, you know what? I can make my money, just pick up my option for this year. Let me be an unrestricted free agent in 2022, and let's talk then. Because if he does that, if he denies the extension, says, no, I'm not going to take the extension, but they pick up his option, then he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2022. And then that's when he can really make some serious money. Of course, he'd be betting on himself. That is, of course, something that comes into play. He'd be betting on himself that he's going to continue to get better and perform higher than the level that he's performing now to shoot for that max extension in 2022 or that max contract in 2022. Josh, what's your take on the matter?
Salute MBK panel. Salute the chat. Salute everyone out there. Hope everyone is doing well. Go Knicks. So my take on this situation is it's very simple. The Knicks unequivocally need to make this happen. And I'm not just talking about the extension. If Randle decides to decline the extension, I think the Knicks need to pay Julius Randle, $30 million. I think he's definitely worth $30 million. If you look around the NBA and look at some of the players that are making that kind of money, they're not better than Julius Randle. So I think for the Knicks and the organization, they cannot afford to start over at this point, meaning let Julius Randle walk out the door and go somewhere else, and then we're stuck with no one, right? So if I'm the Knicks, I'm definitely trying to get this extension done because it definitely will save them some money in the long run. And if he decides to decline it, I'm going after him hand over fist come unrestricted free agency. Also, from Julius Randle's standpoint, a lot of players are now taking the short-term contracts just to maximize their money long-term, right? So you see a lot of guys take these 3-year contracts, signing for $30 to $35 million, and then at the end of that contract, look to go somewhere else. So that's a thing that's happening around the league a lot, very prevalent around the league. And that's also an option that, Julius Randle can go with because he's definitely worth more money. But I just got to say this, no matter what happens with Julius Randle, if he decides to accept or decline this money, this extension that the Knicks can throw at him, Knicks fans have to understand that this is a business and that if a player decides to decline, even though it's a lot of money, you know what I mean? A lot of us don't have $100 million. Even though this is a lot of money, if he decides to decline this contract, it's only for business purposes.
Did you say a lot of us? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but did you say a lot of us don't have this kind of money or most of us don't have this kind of money?
Most of us don't have this kind of money.
Okay.
Whatever. But my point was, if he decides to decline this contract, this extension, Knicks fans have to understand that this is a business and they can't take it personal. This guy is out trying to get, the money to support his family, as Fitzgerald Sprewell used to say.
Right. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for Julius Randle. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think that he is a guy that, has a bit of loyalty to him and wants to, make it where he's kind of grown up, where he's became, the star that he is today. But then on the flip side, like any player in the NBA, you want to look, his family's taken care of, right? We know that. His family's going to be good. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have other goals and aspirations with the kind of money that he wants to make and what he wants to do with his money. You know what I mean? And that's his, that's up to him. Now, here's the thing. Is Julius Randle, right? Because I understand everything that you're saying and, how the Knicks should be looking at it. But what happens if Julius Randle next year, right? You say the Knicks, definitely got to go ahead and do this and do that. If he declines the extension, what happens if he doesn't take a leap next year? Right now, for Julius Randle, he'd be looking, remember Nerlens Noel, he declined that extension, right? And he made $5 million this year. For me, that's nothing to sneeze at. For him, he's probably like, damn, I just blew it because he was about to make some real money. So what do the Knicks do if Julius Randle doesn't perform? He doesn't step up and continue to ascend. What do you do then? Because he still might, even if he doesn't continue to ascend next year, he still might get that money on the market. What do you do?
So to answer the question, and someone put like in the chat he can always start a podcast and make some money.
Hey, I'll hire him.
But,
I will hire him on NBK. He talk all he wants about the Knicks.
To screen the calls. To
be honest, honestly, the Knicks right now, I honestly feel like they don't have a choice. I honestly feel like the Knicks do not have a choice. The thought of Julius Randle, taking a step back, I think they have to go for this. They have to, because honestly, there's no guarantee that anybody is going to come here if Julius Randle doesn't sign the extension, number one. And, number two, this team can't afford to start from square one. Not at this point. And if Julius Randle's not worth the money, then eventually we'll find out anyway. So at this point, I just think Knicks got to take a shot. Got to spend money.
Yeah, well,
go ahead,
for me,
Andy.
the Knicks have to, they have to jump on this opportunity, because at this point, this is an opportunity, because the average amount of the extension per year is going to be 26.6, right? Am I correct? So, something around that, right? So even if he doesn't pan out, if you look at the contracts of NBA players around that kind of salary, his contract, well, it might not be called like a steal, but it's still going to be a good contract. It's not going to be the 18.9 million that he has this year, or 19.8 or whatever, right? Under 20 million. But it's just a couple of million more. And when you think about it, you can always trade him. If it's not going to pan out, or if you want to split, because I don't think he's going to agree to, for example, the first 2 years be guaranteed, or the last two, like not 100% is going to be not guaranteed, or it's going to have like a team option or something like that. I don't think he's going to go for that at this point. So, and in the worst case, if he hits, full free agency, which I mean, he's going to be unrestricted, the Knicks might have to pay him even more. So that's going to be, a worse situation. And, they can, Julius can tell him, listen, guys, I'm going to come back. I'm just going to go out on the market. So I'm going to see if we're going to, not spend the whole money. I'm just going to, get those couple of $1 million more for this season. Because how the NBA contracts are done is you can have a maximum of 8% of an increase of salary year to year. It doesn't have to be an increase. It can be a decrease, right? But it's not going to be, it can be like, the same amount for year 1 and 2, and then an 8%, increase, and then again an 8% increase. So, they might, since we have Brock Aller, they might, put, plenty of scenarios out for Julius to get him on the table and to talk with them. Because, if he's going to take the 26 million, let's be true about it. There's always a couple of million more to sign a guy like an Alec Burks, like in Netherlands Noel, like a Reggie Bullock, right? If he takes that, those another 5-6 million, he's just not going to have a player like that. And the only players that we can go over the salary cap are current players that we can extend. You can't sign a free agent to go over the salary cap. It's only like one player that you can have the mid-level exception, and it's depending on what kind of salary cap threshold you're in. So it's going to be around 5.5-6.5 million. So for me, him riding out that 19.8 million the next season and then signing the 1.6 million extension for 4 years, that's a steal for the Knicks.
Oh, definitely for the Knicks.
Situation.
Definitely for the Knicks.
Definitely
it's
for
a
the
steal.
Knicks. Yeah.
It's definitely for a steal for the Knicks.
Yeah, and Sim, let's just put in this there that that's going to be after the first year of his extension. RJ is going to be eligible for his rookie extension, right?
Right.
And if he will be able to get 25% of the current salary cap limit, right? So if we're going to have Julius around 30 million and RJ is going to get, around 25% of the salary cap, it also might be around 25 million a year. So that's going to be basically half of the salary cap of the whole team. Of course, IQ and Obi are going to be on rookie deals, and the rookies that we might get on this year also might be on rookie scale contracts, but you got to fill out the roster. You're not going to be able to play with 7 guys. You got to fill out the roster, and we see now how a deep roster looks like in the whole season, and what you can do with it. So I think the more the players share the money, the better the situation they all are going to have.
Right. Now I definitely agree with you there. I want to take a second and just take a look at Randle's contract and his potential extension, and actually see it in a graphic. All right. So that, people can kind of see it and understand exactly what we're doing. And we got my man AD on this set. Glad to see you in person, my brother.
Sam!
How you feeling, my man? Glad to see you here. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Glad to see you in the building, brother.
Absolutely. Uncle Fulio, Andy, Knicks family, chat, everybody. Love y'all. Knicks family for life. Y'all know what it is.
Yes,
Appreciate you, my brother. Glad to see you here.
Absolutely. I saw the Julius Randle alert to my phone, and I said, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity for me to jump on and chop it up on camera with Sim. And we've been talking, you know what? Your show was my entry to the whole podcast and Knicks family out there, universe and so forth. So I always, want to pay you homage and respect, because it was your show that I found just randomly, to chop it up other Knicks family and so forth. But on to the topic, Julius Randle. And as you know, I had the fire brigade to chase him up out of here last year. you know, and after warning him here, but Julius has done a 720 in his performance, total peak performance, who he is, his style of play, and just what he's brought to the city, to the team, and everything. And I don't know what the offer is. I'm not sure if the offer was leaked out or not. But if they're giving him anything less than what big man is getting over there in Utah, if I'm Julius, I'm holding out for more money.
Okay. Well, here we go. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the contract situation. Randle's current contract right now, this season, 2020, 2021, Randle's making $18.9 million. Okay. Next season, the Knicks pick up his option, which I'm pretty sure they will. He'll make $19.8 million. Okay. Now, this doesn't include any of the incentives. So he has a $945,000 incentive if he makes the All-Star game. And I don't know if he has any kind of incentives if the team makes the playoffs. Okay, so he made the All-Star game. He's going to get, close to an extra $1 million. And if he makes the All-Star team next year, he'll get close to an extra $1 million once again. In 2022, he can be an unrestricted free agent. So if the Knicks and Julius Randle are able to agree on an extension, his contract, that extension would begin in 2022. Okay? Now let's talk about the extension so we can see those numbers. A possible Knicks contract offer for Julius Randle. They can offer up to 4 years, $106.4 million. The maximum value of this contract can actually extend out to $140 million with incentives. If he if he met whatever the incentives were. All right. Now, that means for the first year, the 22-23 season, 2022-2023, all right, he'll make $23.7 million in that first season. All right, $23.7 million, which is, a slight, $4 million tick over what he's making now, or what he'll be making in next season. All right, not bad. 2023, 2024, he'll make $25.66 million. 2024, 2025, $27.56 million. 25, 26, $29.46 million. Yes, I do believe that this is a steal for the New York Knicks. It would be a steal for the Knicks for him to make this kind of money. All right. For Julius Randle. Say that again.
If he signs that deal, his agent should. If he signs that deal, his agent should be fired. He should fire his agent. He should really his agent after that.
Unless Randle says this is the deal, I'm willing to take that deal. I don't know if Randle's going to take that deal. Honestly, I just don't know if he's going to take that deal.
You know what? Sometimes you can't pay for a peace of mind and your comfortability.
Right.
But I remember when Phil was a free agent that first year after Phil Jackson came on, and he met with Chicago, and Chicago could only offer him a deal that was like $40 or $50 million less, and he still went on the trip anyway. And I'm like, Melo, there's no way you could leave a guaranteed 130 or 40 or whatever it was to take a deal that was $50 million less. That just doesn't make financial sense to me. But your peace of mind is your peace of mind. Your comfortability is your comfort. Continuity is continuity. If you feel like this is where you belong and you want to forego 40, 50, $60 million, like I said, Rudy Gobert has a $200 million contract.
Right.
Well. Here's the thing. You said that he should fire his agent, but to be honest, that's the maximum the Knicks can offer him. That's the absolute max, based on the way the salary cap is structured. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't be on the agent. I mean, the agent really doesn't have anything to do with this. At this point, it's just the Knicks putting their maximum offer out there, and whether Julius Randle wants to accept it or not. The agent doesn't even come into play
Josh,
because he's not even an unrestricted free agency yet.
I'm not going to agree with that, Josh.
Long term. You see what I'm saying? That's if he takes a long-term deal. It's almost like the Scottie Pippen deal way back when even the organization told him, are you sure you want to take a 10-year, 13-year contract? Because the value is only going to go up. You see what I'm saying? Like if he takes that long-term deal, he locks himself in where we don't know where the contracts are going to go as far as the outside entities and how much money these cable TVs is going to be giving and so forth and so forth. That's all I'm saying, but a long-term deal right now does not seem like it's in his best interest.
Yeah, right. and Josh, he can get more. There's two scenarios that he or his agent can go and do it. They can, first thing that we didn't mention here even is that he can tell the Knicks, just don't pick up my option, but I'm going to resign as a free agent this summer. Right. So he's not going to be getting that 19.8 million. He's going to be getting that 23, 24, around that kind of money. And the contract is going to start from next season.
Right.
So his contract is going to end a year early. So that's going to make him, available to sign again a bigger, because it's going to be easier for a player to get a contract at 30 years of age than he's going to be 31, right? Or like AD said, he can just go like, okay, give me a deal like a 1+1 or a 2+1, right? With a team option or a player option. And if he's going to be having a great season, he's not going to be picking up the option, hitting the unrestricted free agency. If he's going to want to be willing to stay, he can just re-sign with us again with, pulling up the salary cap of ours. But, that's not any kind of those scenarios is in the Knicks' interest. So, as far as the Knicks goes, Julius, just let's put the pen to the paper. Let's then make the deal done. We are picking up the option. After the next season, you're with us for the next 4 years. So and they're gonna have like all the privileges. Like I said, if he's not gonna pan out, they're gonna be able to trade him. So right. they're like playing a safe card there, right?
I mean, definitely the Knicks would want to make this extension work. There's no doubt about it. The Knicks want this extension to work. They want Julius Randle to say, yes, I'm going to take this extension. If I'm Julius Randle, I'm not taking that 4-year extension. I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm Julius Randle, knowing that in 2022 I can be an unrestricted free agent and have at least the possibility of getting the max, you've got to be really loyal and really, really. I mean, look, he's got generational money now, but still, we're talking relatively speaking, right? We're talking our level money, and we're talking his level money. You know what I'm saying? So right now, who you are right now, the money that you're making, if someone said, well, next year you can make 50% more, what are you going to do, right? You're probably going to say, yeah, well, let me take my chances on next year. But if he wants to be a team player, maybe he'll do something like what Andy said, cut it in half and say, okay, you know what? I'll do an extension with you for 1 year, 1 year with a player option for the second year. You know what I mean? To give himself, to say, you know what? I'll take a year to prove myself, and then I can opt out, and then you can, and then we'll negotiate and we'll talk then. I think Bradley Beal did something similar with the Washington Wizards. He was making more money, right? But he did something similar. He took a shorter deal on his extension. He extended, but it was shorter. And then, so I think next summer, not this summer, I think next summer, he'll be a free agent. Because I think Randle also and his agent probably needs to look at it and say, hey, if we work with them now, maybe they can get more players in and your value will go higher as the team gets better as well. You know what I mean? It's a situation, and it's a good situation to have, and it's good that Leon Rose used to be an agent because he knows exactly how these agents are going to be thinking and what these agents are going to be telling Julius Randle. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, and just to add to the whole situation and scenario thing, the Knicks have free salary cap at this point, right? If he's gonna be taking that 2+1 in 2 years, we might be salary cap strapped. So we're gonna be able only to resign him under restricted free agency. We won't be able to wait for him to go to unrestricted free agency and then resign him because if RJ, if IQ and Obi get extensions, we sign a free agent in the next 2 off seasons for longer deals. There might not be money left up for Julius if he's gonna pick the option to opt out and then resign with us, because we won't be able to go over the cap for his contract. So, that's why like a contract like 1+1 at this point might be a safe thing. But for example, 2+1, in 2 seasons, we might get rid of that free salary cap and we might get strapped. And then, if he picks to go to unrestricted free agency, we won't be able to give him the money he wants.
Yeah, well, I guess he'll be thinking in that way. He'll be thinking, well, another team can give me the money that I want. You know what I mean?
And then I'm always going to tell him Sacramento Kings, bro.
Right.
It's
going to be interesting.
I just need to highlight the fact. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it's going to be interesting, to see what happens and how it plays out. We know, though, that Julius Randle wants to be in New York. I think we're all pretty sure that he wants to be here. I think he's found a home. I think he likes Thibodeau. Clearly, Thibodeau likes him. You know what I mean? He likes his work ethic. He knows he's going to, it's like he found another one of those guys like the Derrick Roses or the Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson type of guy that if Tom Thibodeau in 5 years from now, Julius Randle is no longer with the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau is coaching someplace else, he's going to say, hey, let's call up Julius. Let's get Julius here. You know what I mean? I think they've developed that kind of relationship, and that can go a long way. I'm not saying that he's going to accept that extension, but that can go a long way. One more time before we finish this discussion out, I just want to show on the screen what these numbers could look like. All right, Julius Randle's current contract, ladies and gentlemen, he's making $18.9 million this season. The Knicks have a team option for the 2021-2022 season. Now, if the Knicks pick up the option, Julius Randle will make $19.8 million. This is a steal for Julius Randle right now with the amount that we're paying him. If the Knicks decline to offer him or to pick up his option, they're guaranteed to pay him $6 million. And then I guess you could maybe talk about another contract if they decline to offer him an option. I'm not exactly sure how that works, though. Either way, if the Knicks pick up his option, they pay him $19.8 million, he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2022. Now, before 2022 hits, I think the Knicks will have until October of 2021 to offer him an extension, to get an extension done. All right, so it sounds like the Knicks are going to offer Julius Randle an extension. They'd be crazy if they didn't offer him an extension. All right, they would just be out of their minds if they didn't do that. And if they offer him an extension, they can offer him an extension for 4 years, $106.4 million for the entire contract. And then You can see how it breaks down year by year. And I'm going to blow this up for you so you can see it in a bigger screen, right? He can get 22 in 22-23. He can get 23.76 million. 23-24, 25.66 million. 24-25, 27.56 million. And then in 25-26, $29.46 million per year. That's the way his contract would flow over the next 4 years. I mean, it'd be a super deal for the Knicks. Just don't think Julius Randle is going to take that deal. You can see where it says the first year must be a maximum of 120% of the last year, the 21-22 contract, which is 19.8 million, right? Which equals that 23.76 million for the 22-23 season. And then each year after the first year, the extension is an 8% increase from the previous year. So that's how you get the numbers that you see on your screen right now. And I don't know, man. I don't know. We will see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months. I'm pretty sure Julius Randle, this is out in the media, but I'm pretty sure Julius Randle and the Knicks right now just focused on these last 6 games, right? After getting smacked last night by, who they play last night? I put it out of my mind. The Denver Nuggets. I put it out of my mind, man. You know what I'm saying? It was such a bad game. I had to get that one out of my mind. Because they got smacked last night. It was bad. It was bad. Those games like that are going to happen, though. So I'm pretty sure that's where their focus is. Andy, I know you just watched the game. I'm going to come around the point. I'm going to come to Andy, AD, and Josh. I know you just watched the game. Just give me your reflections and thoughts on the game, bro.
Yo, Sim, I asked you on Twitter in the room chat that we had after the first quarter. I saw if this is gonna change or you're just gonna waste my time. But I was gonna watch the game no matter what. But it's like you said. Sometimes just the ball just doesn't fall. We were missing bunnies. I'm not going to mention that, Jokic was doing, Jokic thing was, crazy stuff. And, some ref were maybe helping him a little bit with the calls. I'm not going to say we lost because of the refs. No, we didn't. But, always the, refs help the better players, they say. But I think even Jokic was surprised of some of these calls. Then again, they just had a crazy good game and we had a really bad one. Austin Rivers, he was 5 out of 6 from 3. I don't think he even had a game for the Knicks like that. I don't think, he had such a high percentage from 3 in his career. And they were without several players, right? Campazzo, he was started the season like the 3rd string point guard for them. He filled up the stat sheet like a crazy man.
Yeah, he almost had a triple-double.
Assists, steals, everything.
He was hoping last night.
So, let's remember he's a 30-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
So
I hope Luka comes in and does the same thing.
Yeah, people are gonna say, that, and I was telling you guys about Campazzo. He's a virtuoso. He has those passing lanes and everything, the vision. He's awesome with that. I never was thinking that he's gonna produce like this because I knew that he's gonna start off the bench, but since he had the situation and the chance, we know that what he can do. Well, so like I said, I'm not that kind of upset because we are on a road trip. We have heavy games before, after the Denver game, even the Suns, the Clippers, the Lakers. Those are really important games. Mm-hmm. And, let's hope we get as many wins as possible. This was a slip up. Let's forget about it and go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And I just want to let the people know, a couple of people asked some super chats relates to Julius Randle. As soon as we're finished with, this little talk here, we're going to get back and answer the questions in those super chats. AD, what was your thoughts on last night's game?
felt we were going to lose the game from early. And I said it on another situation because it's almost like, and I never want to lose games, don't get me wrong, but I never want to peak too early. And I talked about us possibly peaking too early with the playoffs so close. It's like, let's not think we've gotten someplace as of yet, and that could be a reality check that we needed going into the playoffs for this franchise. It's been what? God, 7 years, 6-7 years, the last time we've been to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys on our teams never been to the playoffs. Julius has never been to the playoffs. A couple of these other guys have never been to the playoffs. So I felt it. And I'm not knocking it. I'm not going to blame the refs, although the referee, the calling early was just bad. That first quarter, it was just bad. And I was like, well, okay, we're in Denver. It's a Denver thing because when does Thibodeau get a technical in the first quarter?
Right.
The first minute.
First minute
First
of the game.
minute.
It was
crazy.
It was so bad from them as a collective referee unit because it messed up the flow of the game. The game, you couldn't flow. You couldn't see like how were you gonna ref the game. It's almost like you started the game, you said, I'm gonna ref it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna be ticky-tacky early.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw players and stuff off. Like how are we gonna, go in? And if you say the wrong thing, technical. How many technicals got handed out last night?
Like 4 technicals. The Knicks got 4 technicals alone.
Yeah. So it hopefully they use it as a wake-up call. I'm not worried because I think I've seen what this team can do with Tibbs, and I'm not gonna predict anything else. Although, I'll get my mantra up, my machismo will get up, and I'll start feeling like I want smoke with any and anybody at any time and so forth. But this is a good team, and Tibbs have them moving in the right way, and that was just a blip on the screen, and we'll shake it off, move past that, and let's take one game at a time, and the prize is the playoffs and what we're going to do once we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you're right, of taking a loss, at this point in time is, listen, I'd rather take that loss than, we come down the stretch of the season and we're still fighting for Boston, and then we take that same loss against Boston the last game of the season, right? Knock us down to the 6th seed or something crazy like that. You take it now and, like you said, get that reality check that, hey, we can lose on any given night. We can get smacked on any given night. You know what I mean? Because I think once you start winning, the one thing that winning can do is compound bad habits. So if there's something that,
yes,
you keep doing, but you're winning despite allowing a team to jump out to a 7-point lead or whatever else it is that you're doing, you're winning despite that, you can, anything that happens, you're like, nah, don't worry about it. We're going to come back. You know what I'm saying? So I think getting spanked like this every once in a while just lets you got to stick with it. You got to stay with the small things. You got to stay with those fundamentals. You got to play hard. You can't have lapses. So every once in a while it's good, to get a spanking like we got last night.
Let me say one other thing on the Julius contract situation, just to go back a little bit. Why bring him a contract now? Why bring him an offer now with the playoffs looming? I'm trying to understand the strategy.
Yeah, I don't think that they brought it to him.
I got my opinion on this.
I don't think that they brought it to him. I think it's just a report that they will speak. They plan on, maybe the agent, or maybe, I don't know, could be Leon Rose or whoever, but, maybe they put it out there just to, hey, Yep, we're going to talk about this contract extension over the summer. I don't think they offered it to him yet. I think they, the report says over the summer they're going to talk about an extension.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Andy. You said you had a thought on that.
Yeah, I bet you it was one of the, I don't know, maybe CP3 or LeBron thing. They just put, with their agents and ESPN or whatever, the power they have, they just put it out to mess with Julius and the Knicks, bro. I bet you that.
Right.
When all else fails, let's blame LeBron. Let's blame
You know what I'm saying? Right. Josh, any quick thoughts? Because I do got to get to practice, running a little bit late. Any quick thoughts on the game?
Well, absolutely. The Knicks got destroyed. Nikola Jokic was able to do whatever he wanted to do in the paint to both Noel and Taj Gibson. But I've been on the record by saying I believe this Knicks team could beat anybody, but they also can lose to anybody in the same breath. Last week I was saying as well, I'm ready to see this team in the playoffs. I'm tired of all these games in the regular season down the stretch. I'm ready to see this team in an actual 7-game playoff series where we can be able to go against another team and be able to play games that way. So I'm just hoping that the Knicks are able to get to that finish line and get in that top 6, so they guaranteed that. And one last thing I want to point out, there's some people in the chat that were talking about, Julius Randle's not worth more than that contract that Sim put up on the screen. But I just want to say, in this players' league, where the players are actually controlling the market and they're able to basically dictate what their contracts are going to be, at one point and at some point, if not now, the Knicks are going to have to deal with the same problem with whoever we decide to replace Randle with. So if we get rid of Randle and then you guys want to hold out for Lonzo, whoever else wants to come in here in free agency, you're going to have to deal with the same exact contract problems that we're talking about right now with those players. They're going to want their money too, because this is a players' league, and that's the way the NBA is structured right now. So if not now, you're going to have to deal with it later. That's why I said Knicks need to be aggressive and go out and sign their guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Big shout out to Dan Alcanet. He said, can they pick up the option and extend him? Yes, that's what would happen. They would pick up his option, and then they would extend him, start the extension would begin in 2022. Then Donald Cannon said, has anyone even factored in the New York taxes? He will be losing about half of that in taxes alone, where he can go to another team and don't have to worry about paying that high tax. The only thing I'd say about that is, yes, the New York taxes are going to be high, but every player in the league, every time they go to a city and play, they pay taxes in that city. So every player in the league is losing a lot of money due to taxes. I think they lose about 50%, close to 50% of their salary due to taxes. Of course, you pay some higher taxes because the Knicks play more games in New York. They're going to pay higher taxes, right, because of the New York tax rate. But when they go to Chicago, they pay the city of Chicago taxes because they got paid in that city, right? And right. It's a weird thing, but they pay the city of Chicago, they pay the city of Miami, they pay Los Angeles, right? Every city they go to, they pay those taxes. Then they pay the sports, whatever the sports. So it's a sports tax that they pay in those cities. And then they pay the New York sports tax. And then I think they're living in New York, they still got to pay New York state tax. So, yes, they do. They get hit. They definitely get hit. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys.
Tell you what, the Toronto Raptors, those players are winning right now. They're playing in Tampa.
Right. Anyway.
From Canada, they got high taxes.
Right. I got to head off. I got to get to practice. I'm very grateful that you guys stopped through. AD, it's wonderful to see you on camera. I hope you keep coming through when you have the availability. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure over, I don't know what, 3+ years or whatever. We've had some good conversations, not just with yourself, but just, with the entire panelists, Andy, Uncle Fulio, everyone that I've when I've called in the shows, when I listen, because I stay listening, Knicks talk just gets me all day, every day. And just salute to you and everyone out there, Big Nation. You know what it is. We're going to stay strong. We're going to hold it together. And let's keep it together. And, this may be a magic carpet ride.
Yeah.
So let's get ready for it. Let's brace
get it.
and embrace it.
Oh, let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Gonna head off. I'm gonna rush to practice. I'm not gonna get a ticket, but I'm gonna rush to practice. And I will catch you guys later. Thank you for joining us on the Shoot Around. Out of here.
Peace.